A wealthy 26-year-old man and his blonde girlfriend explode in fury when an elderly woman, sick German Shepherd puppy, accidentally brushes against them. The blonde socialite slaps the grandmother across the face, and the man kicks her while she's on her knees, shielding her trembling pup. But they have no idea who's watching from 10 feet away. He's not just another customer, he's her son, a Navy SEAL in uniform, and their day is about to collapse in ways they never imagined. Before we continue, let us know where you're watching from. And if this story reaches your heart, remember to subscribe for more. The Lamplight Diner in South Carolina glowed in soft amber light, its chrome and checkered tiles catching the warmth of the setting sun. Inside, Margaret, a 68-year-old silver-haired grandmother, sat quietly in her usual corner booth. Beside her feet, tucked into a soft canvas carrier, was Scout, the German Shepherd puppy recovering from a respiratory infection. He slept peacefully, his small body rising and falling beneath a fleecy blanket. Across the room, at the counter, Daniel Hayes, the 34-year-old dark-haired Navy SEAL in full uniform, stirred his coffee. He watched his mother with a calm, protective fondness. She didn't know he was in town yet. He had planned to surprise her on her way home from the vet's office. But Margaret, humming softly as she buttered her toast, remained blissfully unaware. Scout shifted, let out a tiny whine, and Margaret leaned down to stroke his ears. "Almost home, sweetheart." The bell above the diner door chimed. A pair entered with the kind of swagger that demanded attention. Bryce Vanderwood, the 26-year-old tall brunette trust fund heir, walked in first. Behind him drifted Tinsley Carr, the 24-year-old blonde socialite in a white designer dress, picking up her hem with distaste, as if afraid the diner's air might stain it. They didn't wait to be seated. Bryce merely pointed at a booth, as though assigning places to servants. Margaret, instinctively polite, shifted her purse inward to create space. Tinsley spotted the canvas carrier at Margaret's feet. "Is that a dog? Here?" Her voice dripped with disgust. Margaret gave her warm smile. "He's just back from the vet. The manager said it was okay as long as he stayed tucked away. He won't disturb anyone." Tinsley scoffed. "My dress cost more than this entire building. Keep that thing away from me." Scout let out a soft, tired yip. Bryce glared. "Great, a mutt in a diner." Daniel's back straightened slightly. Margaret tried again. "He's sick, dear. Don't call me dear," Tinsley snapped. Then she whipped her handbag sharply to the side, its corner striking the carrier. Scout yelped. Margaret leaned down instinctively. "Oh, I'm so sorry. He didn't mean." "Don't touch me," Tinsley hissed. Bryce rose abruptly. "Lady, control your animal. He's not feeling well," Margaret said softly. "I'm doing." Bryce cut her off with a shove to her shoulder. Margaret stumbled. Daniel stood from his stool, but remained still, letting the moment unfold 1 second longer. Tinsley slapped Margaret across the cheek. The sound cracked through the diner. Scout whimpered, terrified. Margaret dropped to her knees, shielding him with her arms. Bryce drew his foot back. He kicked Margaret's side. Daniel's boots hit the floor. He crossed the diner in 3 strides. Before Bryce could land a second kick, Daniel's hand clamped around his wrist. Bryce spun toward him. "Who the hell are?" Daniel's voice sliced through the room. "Let go." Bryce tried to yank his arm free. It didn't move Daniel an inch. In one controlled motion, Daniel redirected Bryce toward the counter, pressing him forward until Bryce's chest hit the edge. "You're done," Daniel said. "Get off me." "My father owns." Daniel spoke the words that froze the diner. "You just kicked my mother." Margaret looked up, breathless. "Daniel." Daniel didn't look away from Bryce. "Hi, Mom." He pulled out his phone. "This is Petty Officer First Class Daniel Hayes, reporting an active assault at Lamplight Diner. Civilian injured. Assailant detained." But 3 miles away, something else was happening. At the Vanderwood estate, a sprawling mansion hidden behind iron gates, a security terminal lit up with a sharp alert. A young security tech glanced at the screen. "Sir, Rice's location tag just hit an emergency flag in the mansion's private study." Richard Vanderwood, the 58-year-old gray-haired business magnate, closed a crystal decanter with a soft click. His expression barely shifted. "Show me," he ordered. The screen displayed a map pin. At the Lamplight Diner, Richard exhaled slowly. "He's gotten himself into trouble again." "Should we dispatch someone?" the tech asked. Richard considered it only a moment. "No, we're going there." He pressed a button on his desk. "Have the car brought around. And tell Russo to gear up." Back in the diner, sirens grew closer. Daniel kept Bryce pinned with practiced ease. Tinsley hovered near the door, torn between fleeing and freezing. Margaret lifted Scout into her lap. "Daniel, please don't cause a scene." "You didn't cause anything," Daniel said quietly. They did. Outside, a police cruiser pulled up. Right behind it rolled a sleek black SUV, the same kind used by the Vanderwood family as private security. Both vehicles stopped at the curb. Both doors opened. And Daniel, still holding Bryce in place, saw exactly who stepped out. The diner door swung open, just as the police cruiser and the sleek black SUV settled at the curb. The officer stepping inside was Officer Kent, the 32-year-old brown-haired patrolman, his eyes widening at the scene before him. A Navy SEAL in uniform restraining a wealthy heir, an older woman on the floor with a frightened puppy in her arms, and an entire diner frozen in shock. Right behind him entered Russo, the 41-year-old bald-headed private security enforcer, wearing an expensive suit that did nothing to soften the cold calculation in his eyes. And following a moment later was Richard Vanderwood, the 58-year-old gray-haired business magnate, strolling into the diner with the confidence of someone accustomed to bending rooms to his will. Richard's gaze locked instantly on his son. Bryce, still pinned, sputtered, "Dad, arrest him. He attacked me." Daniel Hayes, the 34-year-old dark-haired Navy SEAL in uniform, did not loosen his grip. Officer Kent stepped forward cautiously. "Sergeant, can you brief me?" Daniel answered, steady and clear. "This man assaulted a civilian. My mother then threatened her and her dog. I intervened to prevent further harm. My body camera app is recording, and there are multiple witnesses in the diner." Richard's voice slid into the conversation, smooth as polished marble. "Officer, my son has been assaulted. I expect immediate action." But Kent didn't move toward Daniel. He looked at Margaret, the 68-year-old silver-haired grandmother, still holding Scout, the 3-month-old German-Shepherd puppy, close against her chest. "Ma'am, are you hurt? Did he do this?" Margaret nodded, still shaken. "He shoved me, and then he kicked me when I tried to protect the puppy." Every customer watching gave the same confirming nod. Officer Kent exhaled slowly and turned to Bryce. "Sir, I'm going to need you to place your hands behind your back." Bryce's eyes nearly bulged. "What? Dad, tell him." Richard stepped forward. "Officer Kent, think carefully before you." But Kent didn't hesitate. "Sir, I have probable cause and multiple witnesses. Interfering will only make this worse." Bryce was cuffed, disbelief plastered across his face. Russo, the bald-headed enforcer, took one step forward, but Richard raised his hand. "Stand down." Then Richard turned to Daniel. "You've made a powerful enemy today." Daniel didn't blink. "I've heard that before." Officer Kent led Bryce outside toward the cruiser. Tinsley, the 24-year-old blonde socialite, followed in stunned silence. Richard stared at Margaret for a long moment, then simply turned and walked out, Russo falling into step behind him. The SUV rolled away from the curb, its tinted windows swallowing the last glint of daylight. The diner breathed again. Daniel knelt beside Margaret. "Mom, are you truly okay?" She nodded gently and stroked Scout's ears. "I'm just glad you were here." The manager brought her a glass of water, and several patrons offered supportive touches on her shoulder. Daniel remained at her side until she steadied. An hour later, after statements were taken and the diner returned to its quiet rhythm, Daniel drove Margaret home, a small craftsman-style house nestled beneath two sprawling oaks. The second setting was calm now, a safe cocoon away from the chaos that had erupted earlier. Margaret eased into her favorite armchair, while Scout, now calmer, curled in her lap. Daniel sat across from her. "You're protected. The reports are filed. Bryce won't be bothering you again." Margaret looked at him with a soft smile. "You know, I always worried your job would keep you too far from home." Daniel shook his head gently. "Mom, no matter where I go, if you ever need me, I'll be there." Scout yawned, stretching one tiny paw toward Daniel. Margaret laughed softly. "He knows you saved him." Daniel leaned forward to scratch the pup behind the ears. "Protect your grandma, Scout. That's your mission." Margaret's eyes grew warm. "And yours?" Daniel glanced at them, both, his mother safe, the puppy dozing, the house peaceful. "To make sure you're never alone in the fight." The porch light outside flickered on as evening settled over the neighborhood, leaving the chaos of the diner and the cold halls of the Vanderwood mansion far behind. Inside the cozy little home, Scout snored softly. Margaret rested her hand on Daniel's arm, and the world felt safe again. Their night ended not with fear, but with gratitude, because justice had been served and family had held strong. If this story touched your heart, please consider sharing it with someone who believes in standing up for what's right. And if you believe that courage and love still matter in this world, comment the word Amen below.